Drive turnaround, in conjunction with Antietam Media Services, proudly presents to you Dirt Trackn Tuesday. Dirt Trackn Tuesday is being brought to you by Booze Brothers Performance, specializing in new and used racing parts. Booze Brothers Performance in Marion, PA. Sebco Village Mart. Get your gas and goodies at Sebco Village Mart in Marion, PA. RBS Auto and Trailer Sales, located in Sykesville, Maryland. RBS Auto and Trailer Sales. Roy's Body Shop. No job too big or too small for Roy's Body Shop in Sykesville, Maryland. Jim and McFarland Custom Painting and Wall Coverings, located in Winchester, Virginia. Book your dream hunt today with Big Cove Whitetail Trophy Hunts, located in Big Cove Tannery, PA. Viper Risk Management Group, specializing in your insurance needs, located in Carlisle, Pennsylvania. D&D Auto Recycling. They're also a Sunoco race fuel dealer located in Williamsport, Maryland. Hyatt Racing Products, specializing in your safety, located in Martinsburg, West Virginia. Chaz's Used Auto Parts and Towing in Taneytown, Maryland. We also need to thank KRS Graphics in Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania. Flores Tree Services, covering Virginia, West Virginia, and beyond. The guys from PA, Sprint Car Live, Beer Hill Gang TV. Linux of Sykesville, Maryland. WRT Speedworks, a leader in racing photography. Champion Auto Sales in Winchester, Virginia. Saffel Photography. Team 95, Dan's Auto Body, Michael Wattabelli Jr. Dirt on Dirt, Flow Racing. And if you're looking to represent your race team or get some Turn 5 clothing, go to mbsportscollectibles.com.
Hey race fans, thanks for joining us here on this exclusive review of the Hagerstown Speedway. And Alan Saggy and I are going to try to give you some information from behind the scenes, things that have happened over the years. We also got some footage from dirtstation.com as well. Alan, when you hear the words Hagerstown Speedway, what is like your first thoughts of that?
Well, Danny, it's kind of like a second home to me. I've been coming here since I was old enough to walk, as far back as I can remember. My mother used to bring me up here when I was just a small kid, and we sat in the grandstand right over there, and we sat with Denny Bonebreak's mother and Denny's wife. And actually, it was Denny's wife before they were married, and when he first started racing. And also Harry Fletcher's wife, who owned the 66 car that Johnny Grum drove with the Grum family. They all, the four families sat together. And of course, my father was the announcer all those years, and it was where we always came, and I've been coming ever since.
Do you remember back then, did it by chance have the covered grandstands, or were they already demolished and the new bleachers that we see, or newer bleachers that we see today were here?
Yeah, the covered grandstands were gone by that time. That was just a little bit before my time. The covered grandstands were taken down in 1965 at the end of the season, and they put in the new grandstand without the overhead roof on. Kind of a neat thing though, they used to have a bridge down in turn 1 for people to go into the track. They took that down also at that time, and they used the metal from the bridge, the steel structure, to help build the Iron Sky up here now.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
So because we're so close to the river or creek, whatever you want to call this, behind on the backstretch, it would be almost impossible to have a tunnel here because the water would be an issue for us.
Yeah, that would probably be pretty tough to put a tunnel in here. That's why this place kind of works a little better to have the cars pitted down in the middle inside. Personally, I always like that. As a driver, I could look up and watch the other races, see what the track's doing, and keep in touch with everything. Some of the tracks, it works really nice to have the pits outside the track so the fans could see the racing surface. But here, the way the grandstands are erected on an angle, the fans can pretty much see over top of the rigs in the pits. So there's very little, if any, obstruction of view.
Alan, when this track was built, to the best of your knowledge, was it a half mile then, as
Yep.
same as it is now?
It was, Danny. The Sheetram family built the track in the late 40s, and the track has been pretty much the same all those years. It's been, of course, reclayed many times. The banking has been altered just a little bit. When they first started, they had a one-tier guardrail. that wouldn't be real good with the speed of the cars today.
No, probably not.
No, all the tracks were really built for cars that were probably half the speed of what we run today. But that's why the tracks have adapted a lot of different safety features, as they have here at Hagerstown, with the 3 and 4 tier guardrails. But Hagerstown Speedway has always pretty much been the same. When Mr. Sheetram built it, he come up with a pretty good game plan, because drivers have always liked racing here. That's what's always attracted racers to come to Hagerstown.
What was that name you just mentioned?
Stanley Sheetram.
He was the original builder of
Yes,
this
he
race.
was.
Did he own the property and
Yes.
he selected to say, hey, let's build a racetrack?
Let's build a racetrack.
That's
what
incredible.
he did.
That's incredible.
And for many years, that was a memorial race in his honor.
And roughly what year was that when he opened up this racetrack?
1948.
1948. Think about that. A lot of us weren't even born then. And it's, very few people that are watching was born at that time frame. 1948. I mean, that's a long time ago.
Yeah.
To think that this racetrack has been in existence. Is this the oldest operating dirt track in the state of Maryland, or do you not know?
Well, Cumberland Speedway, I think, is a little bit older. I think it goes back into the 30s.
Wow.
And Potomac Speedway wasn't built until the early 70s. So Hagerstown is much older than Potomac. And those are the only 3 operating dirt tracks in the state of Maryland.
That's incredible. Alan, when I think about hearing the words Hagerstown Speedway, and again, this is a different generation, I think of the Hub City 150, things like that, or Oktoberfest. Those are the things that I remember, and we'll talk more as we go on about some of the bigger events. You can hear this cat in the background. We apologize. We have the local mascot, the cat's wanting to get some attention from us. This is the fattest cat in the world here at the Hagerstown Speedway. But, Alan, the track itself, as far as on track, has not changed that much, because a half-mile banking might be a little bit differently. But a lot of the things that have changed, bleachers, lighting, PA system, concession stands, bathrooms, those things have changed and evolved over the years, which was needed in order for us to be able to maintain what we have.
Yeah, absolutely, Danny. The concession stand in the infield is a building that was erected clear back in the late 50s.
Wow.
And actually on top of that building was a pagoda, and that's where my father announced the races from when he started in 1958, up until the Eye in the Sky was built in the early 70s. And it's kind of neat that building is still down there. But the track has, of course, progressed with the amenities and things over the years. It's always been a track that attracted the drivers. When my father started, he was a scorer, actually. He worked here as a scorer for a part-time job to help support him and my mother, because they were a young couple starting out. It was before I was around. And he liked the races. He attended some races, and he thought, well, I can go to the races and get paid to go. And they had a Sunday afternoon race, and the crowd was a little off. It was hot. The track was a little dusty. Things weren't really maintained as well back in those days. And the promoter knew he didn't have enough people to pay the purse. And he handed my father the microphone and said, here, boy, you announce this race. I've got to go. And the guy went out the gate and left.
Wow.
And he never came back.
Wow. That's
so that was how he got started here. Another group decided to take the track over after it sat for a couple months. They signed a lease with the Sheetram family to operate it. And they asked him if he wanted to continue being the announcer. So we were here that day. We know the conditions you were under, how you sort of got drafted there and did real good on the fly, and you did a good job. If you'd like to do that, you're welcome, or you can come back and be a scorer. And he enjoyed announcing the races, so he did that from that day on for 39 straight years.
Wow. Well, race fans, we're going to take our first commercial break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about some of the drivers that competed here in some of the events here at the Hagerstown Speedway. So stick with us, don't run off, and enjoy this clip from DirtStation.com.
We'll take a look back at Hagerstown Speedway during the 1964 season. The track would play host to the modified and limited divisions. The big half-mile oval would not include any backstretch railing and included a bridge across the track and covered grandstands. Drivers competing in the modified division included Vic Lewis, Bobby Abel, Gerald Chamberlain, Junior Ritchie, and Elmer Ruby. The S3 of Bill Nally would be crowned the 1964 champion.
Hagerstown Speedway, 1976. The Hub City 150. Larry Wright, number 31. Ben Miley, number 99. Buck Johnson, number 44. And Sam Nally in the Nova 300. Paul Wagner and Larry Gorman, number 100. Larry's the local favorite and also set fast time. A new track record. Roger Tracy getting out of shape. It was side-by-side racing between Sam Nally and Waring. On lap 144, Sam Nally, at the wheel of the Tom Pistone-built Larry Fultz Team Nova 300, took the lead and led the final 6 laps for the win and $1,860. Waring earned $2,380 with bonus money. Dave Schrock, Glenn Galt, and Deke Scott rounded out the top 5, their first appearance ever at Hagerstown.
At RBS Auto and Trailer Sales, your buying experience will be second to none. Our friendly staff will walk you through every mechanical part of your trailer before leaving the lot. Regardless of whether it's an enclosed trailer, a flatbed trailer, a gooseneck, or a dump trailer, we want to make sure that you leave with a smile on your face. RBS Auto and Trailer Sales, with locations in McHenry, Maryland and Sykesville, Maryland. Sebco Village Mart, open 24/7, located in Marion, PA on Route 11. Get your gas, cold and warm food, drinks, and goodies at Sebco Village Mart.
DirtStation.com is a dirt track racing website containing full coverage races, highlight reels, and original short stories featuring drivers, tracks, and events going back nearly 80 years.
It is showtime at Williams Grove Speedway.
When folks in the community need to have their vehicle repaired, they think of Roy's Body Shop in Sykesville, Maryland. Since 1962, Roy's Body Shop has been providing a service that will meet or exceed your expectations. So the next time you need your vehicle repaired, think of Roy's Body Shop in Sykesville, Maryland. Royal Speedway's highlights from this past weekend, brought to you by DirtStation.com.
It is time to light the fires and kick the tires here at the Port Royal Speedway, and the green flag is out.
Here comes the 67 of Justin Whittle. A great start for him. He'll move into that second spot, so we got him 4 wide behind him.
4 wide for cars battling for P3 off of turn number 2. Move the 33 of Gerard McIntyre into third. Now he's going to look to the bottom side of Justin Whittle as those cars drag race off of turn number 4. Leading lap number 1, however, is going to be the 98 of Jared Ash.
Ash out to a bit of a comfortable lead as we've got a battle for third as Lucas Wolf slides up the track but can't get by the 33 of Gerard McIntyre. Jared Ash working the extreme top side of the track, inches from that outside wall as Jeff Halligan has gone by Justin Whittle for second as they battle out of turn 4.
But wait a minute, because there goes Justin Whittle. He drives back by Halligan. Great battle for second in the turns number 1 and 2. Jeff Halligan, we will look at the interval this time. Halligan, he's only behind 1.97 seconds as Jared Ash is having some trouble negotiating lap traffic.
Car slams the door in Jared Ash's face down the back straightaway. He has to slow up big time through 3 and 4, and Halligan continues to reel him in as we come out of turn number 4.
He works his way off of turn number 4 for the final time, and he sees the checker flag, and winning at Port Royal Speedway is going to be Jared Ash. Finishing second will be Logan Wagner, and taking home third will be Jeff Halligan.
You know, this one here, I felt like we were checked out. I don't know how close everybody was, but, you know, I kept a good pace through lap traffic, and then I saw a caution. You know, I think it was Halligan there, showed his nose, and I felt like I got back in rhythm and another caution. I was like, man, they ain't gonna make this easy on me here. And
to grip it and rip it, here at Port Royal Speedway, the green flag is out.
Jamie Latham and Dan Stone drag race in the turns 1 and 2, 3 wide for the lead. Here comes the 72 Covert, making contact with Latham, slides up in front of Dan Stone. Now Dan Stone shoving Covert down the backstretch. Watch an opening lap here with River Valley Bow Super Late Models.
3 wide, battle for third. Jeff Ryan through the middle as looking to run by Dan Stone. Moving back up into second and on the tail of Jason Covert.
Jason Covert will lead lap number 1. He sails it down the bottom of turns number 1 and 2. Dan Stone's right there in tow. Here comes Jamie Lethram. Now here comes Jeff the Jet Ryan in 2J.
Stone back to the top side. Covert down low as they come to the line this time. 18 laps to go, and here comes Dan Stone.
Stone, now he's pulled even with Covert. Give him the lap. Drag race once again into turns 1 and 2. Stone right there looking good in the deuce, but Covert not backing down. Your new leader is going to be big brother Dan Stone. Low side to perfection, as Dan Stone is trying to find something happen up top once again. Covert leads Stone off a 2 by nose, but here comes Stone with another run.
Here they go into 3 and 4. Covert with a great run on the entry of turn number 3. He's got a whole car length on Dan Stone. He's going to try to push him to the top, and Dan Stone loses the handle in turn number 4.
And he will park it in Victorian Science and Graphics. Victor Lane, Jason Covert wins at Port Royal.
Yeah, as bad as we've been for about a year and a half, I'm glad they didn't track me down. So I love racing with Stoney. He's probably the classiest act on the East Coast.
In a feature number 1 here for the Sealands Grove Ford Limited Late Models, green flag is out.
Ryan Zook will lead him into turns 1 and 2. Here comes the 12K Jared Falkroad. Contact between him and the 32 of Ethan Beesom. Now we're going to have a battle for the lead into turn 3. Here comes Jared Falkroad looking good in the 12K. Ryan Zook, however, rolling right through the middle. Drag race, who's going to lead lap number 1? It's going to be the 28Z of Ryan Zook.
But Falkroad back to the bottom here through 1 and 2. Zook looking good through the middle. They'll battle out of turn number 2. Falkroad has the nose as they head down the back straightaway into turn number 3.
Battle for the lead off of turn number 4. Here comes the 33K Hard. He will go outside Falkroad and he'll take the lead. Devin Hart, now he's going to show him the front end on the bottom side of turns 1 and 2. Can't quite make that pass. Falkroad slips up. Caution flags out. Multi-car crash in the middle of turns number 1 and 2. The big one just happened here at Port Royal. He's down low, but it's going to be too little too late. Checker flag is out, and Devin Hart will get win number 4 of the 2021 racing season.
We're just going to go back and work on it a little bit and get ready for the next one.
We go green in the Sealands Grove Ford Limited Late Models.
Casey Steinhoff and Sean Shoemaker side by side. There it goes, the 33K. Devin Hart looking to the outside of Kenny Yoder. That's a great battle for third on the opening lap of this feature event.
back green here in feature number 2.
Shoemaker brings them down. He'll roll right through the...
We've got cars sideways here on the front stretch. Caution back out. Picking up the second Selinsgrove Ford Limited Late Model feature event. It's Sean Shoemaker finishing second. The 22 Casey Steinhoff in third. The 33K of Devin Hart.
We were pretty good that last time. Track was a little different. Slicked off a little bit more, but it was pretty good.
Race fans, welcome back here on a very special edition talking about the history of the Hagerstown Speedway. We appreciate you sticking with us here on Dirt Trackn Tuesday. Alan, some of the drivers that have competed here at the Hagerstown Speedway, there's been some pretty famous people that have moved into this racetrack and landed in victory lane.
Yeah, there's been a lot of good drivers come through the gates here over the years, Danny. You know, they ran open wheel races here in the early 60s. Their main class of cars back at that time were like flathead coupes, but they did run some sprint car races, midget races, and they ran an ARCA race here one time. Actually, Ned Jarrett won the race.
Wow.
Dale Jarrett's father.
That's incredible.
The cars have, of course, changed dramatically over the years. The speed has picked up amazingly. I think they turned in the low 30-second bracket back in those days for top speed, and now a late model, the track record is in the 17s, and the sprint car in the 15s. With the flathead cars, Bill Nally, Red Neininger, they were some of the top runners at that time. There was a group of drivers out of Baltimore, Jack Smith, Johnny Roberts. They would come up here, and they liked this track. Everyone always liked driving on Hagerstown Speedway. But it's kind of neat how things have evolved over the years. The cars evolved. About every 5 years, some of the top drivers would turn over, especially back in the day. When they got into the mid-60s, Bill Nally retired. Red Neininger still stuck around when the cars went to the cut-down 30x90 cars, which were the predecessor to today's sprint cars. And they started the semi-late division, which was the predecessor to today's late models. And Dick Warnfeltz was one of the top drivers in the semi-late division and a track champion when they started in the mid-60s. He drove the Bone Brake family number 5 car. And other drivers that were real good back in there, the 57 Jones car was the Ford family that everyone rooted for the Fords. And you also had the 30x90 sprint car, or super modifieds they actually called them. The Lee Stoltz S3 car was taken over by Ray Doval after Bill Nally retired. And you had drivers come from the western part of the estate, from the Bedford area, Milton Miller and Jack Denniston from down in Arlington, Virginia. Hagerstown was always a hub. Johnny Grum come from Altoona. They would all meet here on Sunday nights. Hagerstown raced on Sunday, and it was an all-star race of sorts because you would get the feature winner from all the Saturday night tracks. For the most part, would come here. The feature winner from Saturday night at Lincoln, from Saturday night at Port Royal, Selinsgrove. Jennerstown was a Saturday night operating dirt track at that time. And Dorsey down in Baltimore, Winchester. Those guys would come up here and all race. A gentleman named Smokey Stover was a top runner from down in the Shenandoah Valley of Virginia. And he came here and raced on Sunday nights. Then they evolved into the sprint cars.
What do you think really put Hagerstown on the map? Because it got noted as the dirt capital of racing. But what event or what series of events back in the day put them to where they were the prestigious track that they are?
Well, they started the Hub City race that you made reference to. Actually, in 1966, they ran the Hub City 100, and that would have been with the 30x90 cut-down super modified cars. And they all had to put bigger fuel tanks on the back of their car so they could make it. It was probably a little bit dangerous. Mert Stein from here in Hagerstown was one of the top drivers at that time. Mert ran with the flathead coupes. He ran with the 30x90 cut-down cars, and he was a track champion a couple years. And he always would put a big tank on the back of his car. Most of them had to. It's the only way they could make it. Gerald Chamberlain raced here in those cars. When they went to sprint cars, Gerald's mother did not like the idea of him driving a sprint car and asked him to drive something else, and that's when he went to modified racing at the Reading Fairgrounds. So he sort of left this area a little bit. Mert Stein also did not drive a sprint car. He was a bigger man, and I think he just felt that the cars were a little bit smaller and he wasn't comfortable in a sprint car. So as good a driver as he was, he retired in his late 30s.
Interesting.
And now we all race much, much longer in a lot of cases. But the cars evolved into the sprint cars. They got faster. Johnny Grum progressed into the sprint cars. Elmer Ruby, Milt Miller still drove the sprint cars. But then you had guys like Kenny Weld and Jan Opperman coming in. And they were like the next wave of top drivers here that the fans really rooted for. Irvin King was a great driver back in those days. He ran the flatheads, he ran the 30x90 cars, and he also ran the sprint cars till the mid-70s. But then Lynn Paxton was another one of the top drivers, and Bobby Allen, Steve Smith. Those guys all met here and raced together on Sunday nights, and I know a lot of people to this day will say they would give anything to go back and see that one more time.
When did the track go from Sunday nights to Saturday nights?
Well, they raced on Sunday for quite a few more years. The late model cars really started progressing. Then you had, Denny Bonebrake started driving in 1969. Buddy Armel had driven the 30x90 cars. He went into the sprint cars, and then he went to a late model. And he was tough to beat. Buddy won a load of races here through the 70s and then through the 80s. The cars, the late models especially, really evolved. They got more complex, more sophisticated, a lot more engineering involved in the late model type cars. But you had another new wave of drivers come in. Sam Nally started around the same time as Denny Bonebrake, Larry Gorman. The McBee brothers started in the early 70s, Ronnie and Jimmy. They come up here out of the Baltimore area. Bobby Goodling out of central Pennsylvania. They all gathered on Sunday night here. The track discontinued running the sprint cars on a weekly basis in 1973, and they made the late models the main division because the late models had picked up so much and gotten more of a fan following. So the late model racing there again, the cars changed again in the late 70s. You got into the smaller Camaros. When they started, they were 55, 57 Chevys and Fords from that era. Then they went to 64 Chevelles and such in the early 70s. Ford Torinos, they were all steel body cars. And they were still steel body cars in the late 70s, but they went to bigger engines and they went to the Camaros. And again, it was another wave of sophistication. Some drivers stayed in it and they stayed with the program as the cars changed and progressed. And then some newer, younger guys come in, and that always made things interesting to mix them up a little bit. And then the wedge cars become in vogue in the early 80s. And then everybody kind of realized with the big spoilers and the wedge bodies that might have been detrimental to racing. So they put some body rules on the cars in the mid 80s, going up to 1990. And that was the year that Hagerstown made the switch to Saturday nights. In 1992, they went from running on Sunday nights to Saturday nights.
Interesting.
The idea being that people are looking for their entertainment on Saturday night. And the interstate highways started getting a little more crowded. It was harder for the out-of-town people to commute here on a Sunday. And the promotional team just felt like Saturday nights was where everyone was looking for something to do. And so that was the theory, and they've run on Saturday nights has been their main night since 1992.
Wow. Race fans, stick with us here. We're going to take another commercial break. We're going to be talking about the current owner as to when they purchased the track and some of the more modern things that we do now, running through the 90s and the 2000s. Danny Wilson, Shea Judy behind the camera, Alan Saggy with us. We've got a lot more stuff to talk about here on Dirt Trackn Tuesday. So stick with us, and again, enjoy this clip from DirtStation.com.
worried after that first 100. I just tried to keep the car as straight as possible, and the track just kept getting faster and faster. It was hard to
Booze Brothers Performance, your one-stop shop for all your racing needs, regardless of whether it's on the oval track or the drag strip, or even your hot rod. Booze Brothers Performance, they have you covered. Located just south of Chambersburg, Pennsylvania in Marion, PA. Booze Brothers Performance. Before you get behind the wheel of your race car, think about your safety. It should be number one. Hyatt Racing Products, specializing in your safety, with a full line of helmets, head and neck restraint systems, fire suits, gloves, and so much more. Located in Martinsburg, West Virginia. Give them a call today at 301-992-8367. Hyatt Racing Products. At Roy's Body Shop, no job is too big or too small. Our friendly staff will provide you with a free estimate, and our quality of service will meet or exceed your expectations. We also work with several insurance companies to ensure that you will be back on the road. Roy's Body Shop in Sykesville, Maryland. Give us a call today, 410-795-0912. RBS Auto and Trailer Sales, with locations in Sykesville, Maryland and McHenry, Maryland, carrying a full line of flatbed trailers, enclosed trailers, small utility trailers, and dump beds. And if you have something heavy, we got you covered there as well. RBS Auto and Trailer Sales, with locations in McHenry, Maryland and Sykesville, Maryland. Give us a call today. RBS Auto and Trailer Sales. Does the thought of painting your home or business stress you out to the point that you want to pull your hair out? Give Jimmy McFarland Custom Painting and Wall Coverings a call today. Put your mind at ease, as they will enhance the beauty of your home and business. Located in Winchester, Virginia, Jimmy McFarland Custom Painting and Wall Coverings, 540-327-5050. DirtStation.com is a dirt track racing website containing full coverage races, highlight reels, and original short stories featuring drivers, tracks, and events going back nearly 80 years.
It is showtime at Williams Grove Speedway.
Let's take a look at this past weekend's highlights, brought to you by DirtStation.com.
Bree Hershey's going to pull out to the leadoff turn number 2. Arnold second, Fisher running third. Givler is fourth and challenging the 21T. Bollinger and fifth, followed by Campbell and Troy Wagaman. Bollinger is going to race for second. And he's got it. Followed by Fisher and Campbell. Bollinger to the inside, and we have a new race leader. Aaron Bollinger into the top spot with Hershey in second. Final turns for your leader, and picking up his first career Lincoln win is Aaron Bollinger.
How about a big hand for Aaron Bollinger?
Race fans, welcome back here to a special edition here at the Hagerstown Speedway, talking about the history. Alan, you know, you stepped in the car, what, in the late 80s, mid 80s?
I actually started in 1982. I started driving. Yeah.
82. So you kind of came in where you were able to race with some of the guys from back in the 60s, 70s, and through the 80s. But then in the 90s is when this track really changed, because we started bringing in more sanctioned events. And some of these events, like I was talking about the Hub City 150, Oktoberfest, was really starting to explode.
Oh, yeah.
Because it was something new in a sense, and it brought the best of the best into the racetrack.
Yeah, Danny, when Frank Plessinger took the track over, he purchased the Speedway. It was owned by the Stauffer brothers and Adrian Durham, a good friend of theirs. They took the track over and purchased it in the mid-60s. They did very well with the place. They brought Hagerstown several steps up to prominence, and then when they got a little bit older, decided to get out of it, they leased the track to Jack Gunn, who was the Hall of Fame promoter out of Central Pennsylvania, and Jack ran the track for 6-7 years there through the 70s until he got sick, and he brought the place another step. Well, then the Stauffers sold the track to Frank Plessinger, and he really brought the track along. Frank did wholesale improvements and sort of redesign the facility, not the track, but everything around it. And that's when the track started having big races. And Hagerstown got to be known as the go-to track in this area. And there was a story in USA Today in the newspaper. It was the only time in history that there was front page coverage of dirt track racing in USA Today. And they rated the top 5 dirt tracks in the country in no specific order, but Hagerstown was one of the 5 at that time. That was in 1984.
So back in that time frame, and for many years, you had World of Outlaw sprint car events, World of Outlaw late models. You had a little bit of the Lucas Oil Series coming here and there.
They were called the Have a Tampa at that time, which evolved into the Lucas Oil, but yes.
You also had the
All-Star
deal.
Late models and sprint cars.
And then you had some of your lower level mid-tier sanction events.
The Max Series.
The Max Series, that was here more local, regional type deal. But there was such a vibe during that time frame. It's no wonder that the track had a good following, became the dirt capital, and it's still just an immaculate facility. Things have changed. We don't run super late models every week like they used to back in the day, but it's still a great track in our backyard that puts on amazing events.
Yeah, the guys still want to race here. And you touched on it, that I got the opportunity and the privilege to race with some of the guys who were the top racers in the 60s and 70s who were still driving when I started. I actually drove against them. I drove with their sons, and then later years I raced against their grandsons in a couple cases.
Wow.
The Feathers family, I raced against Wayne, I raced against Bo, and I raced against Trevor.
Wow.
So, the Armels, I raced against Buddy, raced against Tommy. The Bone Breaks, raced against Denny, raced against Wesley. It's a lot of history here, and a lot of families that have spent a lot of nights here at the Hagerstown Speedway.
Alan, as we look, and we can turn around because we got mic'd up, but as we turn around and we look at the configuration of the racetrack, the inside guardrail you had mentioned 2 high, outside guardrails 3 high. Back in the day, you said it only had one guardrail.
One
guardrail. I think about that.
I remember seeing a couple cars go out over when I was a kid. Buddy Armel went out over down the turn 1 in a late model and broke his shoulder. And my mother still tells the story how she was so impressed that Buddy would not go to the hospital. He knew his shoulder was broke, but he had bought a new pickup truck that week, and it was a stick shift, and he knew his wife couldn't drive a stick shift, and he wanted to make sure his wife and children got home safe. So he drove them home with a broken shoulder.
Wow.
But he ended up out there outside. There was a sprint car driver named Ted Wise who ended up in the trees out there off turn 2. He sat on the hood of his car waiting for help for somebody to get him down. The car and him were stuck up in a tree.
So race fans, there's a video out there of Jack Bland who actually hit the opening. Now the opening has been reconfigured, but he hit the opening years back. You can see that video, brought to you by dirtstation.com, where he hit the video. And then there's one where there's a motorcycle coming out of turn 4, where there was a bike lane in the racetrack. Another bike hit it. He went airborne. And, so there's a lot of history here, Alan. not just with sprint cars or late models or motorcycles, but just in general, the amount of history that's here at the Hagerstown Speedway is incredible.
Tractor pulls, they had those here for years.
Monster trucks.
Yes, monster trucks they still have. There's a gentleman I know, Bud Harbaugh, who was here and participated in a tractor pull in 1948.
Wow.
Yeah. Bud's in his 90s now. He still comes to the races on occasions, and he was here and he participated in that.
That's incredible. Race fans, we're going to take our final commercial break. And when we come back, we're going to try to set exactly where Alan sat when he was a kid. Stick with us.
Tonight's Rough Ride is being brought to you by DirtStation.com.
And they're jamming up in the middle of turns 1 and 2. Yellow flag is out. There's a car upside down in turn number 3 outside the fence, outside the guardrail, I should say.
Antietam Media Services has been helping tell our county's story for over 3 decades by capturing the people and events that make us unique. The best way to enjoy our local programming is by tuning in to WCL-TV channels 806 and 6, or download the WCL-TV on the Go app for your mobile device and watch many of our archived events like the Mummers Parade, Showcase of Bands, high school sports, and much more. More than ever, Antietam Media Services and our programming is here for you on all of your devices.
If you're looking for insurance, look no further than Viper Risk Management Group. Founded in 2010 and has grown into a multi-state insurance and risk management firm centrally located in Carlisle, Pennsylvania. Since the company's inception, which started with just 4 states of authority, the company has grown to where they're doing business in 19 states across the country. So whether it's a personal item that you own, health or life insurance, or even retirement, you owe it to yourself to call Sean and Lisa Martin from Viper Risk Management Group. You can also find them online, Viper Risk Management Group.
From time to time here at RBS Auto and Trailer Sales, people will stop in and ask, what type of trailers do you carry? Well, we like to think that we carry everything you need, regardless of whether it's heavy duty or light duty, cargo trailers or flatbed trailers, or whatever you may need. RBS Auto and Trailer Sales, with locations in McHenry, Maryland and Sykesville, Maryland. Give us a call today. Regardless of whether it's a small dent, a medium-sized dent, or even those large dents, Roy's Body Shop, we have you covered. From start to finish, our team is up to date on all the technology, paints, and applications to give you a finish that is second to none. Roy's Body Shop in Sykesville, Maryland.
DirtStation.com is a dirt track racing website containing full coverage races, highlight reels, and original short stories featuring drivers, tracks, and events going back nearly 80 years.
It is showtime at Williams Grove Speedway.
Sebco Village Mart, open 24/7, located in Marion, PA on Route 11. Get your gas, cold and warm food, drinks, and goodies at Sebco Village Mart.
a look at this past weekend's highlights, brought to you by DirtStation.com.
It is showtime at Williams Grove Speedway. Justin Whittle leads the pack into turn number 3. Whittle leads the lap. Kyle Mooney on his tail. Justin Whittle leading Moody and getting away from him. Meanwhile, Danny Dietrich has taken 3rd place from Hamaker. Moody coming after him. Whittle through the middle. Moody right behind him. Dietrich 3rd. Buckwalter 4th. They're under the bridge and into turn number 3. Last lap. Moody makes a bid on the inside. Coming off turn 4 to the checkered flag. Who will it be at the finish? And it is Justin Whittle. Moody 2nd, Dietrich 3rd, Buckwalter 4th, and Prime's 5th.
I figured Danny, Kyle, and probably Lance were catching me. I was waiting for Danny to come up and say, hey, what's up? But I guess I held my own tonight.
Green flag. Back out on the USAC feature. And again, Carmen Perigo leads the field into turn number 1. Steve Buckwalter racing 2nd. Briggs Danner on the inside, running 5th. 23 at Kenny Miller, the 3rd, drives inside Steve Dravicki, side by side for the 3rd spot. Dravicki on the outside, coming after the Royersford Rocket. As they come down the front stretch, Dravicki through the middle. Dravicki to the inside of the leader, slides up to take the lead. He gets it momentarily. Carmen Perigo reclaims the lead on the backstretch, and here comes Dravicki back to the inside in turn number 3, and he reclaims the spot. So far, 4 lead changes on this lap. Dravicki changes lanes at the last minute. Drives underneath the Thompson car. And here comes Briggs Danner, gets a 2-for-1 in turn number 2. Danner going for all 3 on the backstretch. Briggs Danner tries the low side. Danner again with a last-ditch effort low as they come back to the checkered flag off turn number 4. It's Steve Dravicki.
Yeah, I mean, I knew I needed to go there, and he was going to the bottom, but he was kind of running up, or he couldn't clear around the outside of him, and it really messed me up down there when I realized what he did, and wasn't sure what he was doing here. When I saw it's what he was doing, I knew I needed to go and get around him and at least get clear of him, that I could, I didn't know where anybody was, but I knew they couldn't be far behind.
Well, you know, when you said you wanted to start up front, you thought you earned the front spot, but you had to start 7th due to the draw. Did that do something to you? Did you kind of analyze this whole thing?
No, it just makes you maybe get a little more drift. Makes you drive a little harder, I guess. But we just thought after winning the first heat, I wasn't sure how the program was run here, and we thought we were on the pole, but it ended up being all right. We had a little body damage coming through, but everything turned out great.
Well, you had some anxious moments here tonight, out there time trialing. Something went wrong with your car, and you had to go in, but you got it all back together.
Well, everything was going pretty well. I felt a little bad in the heat race, and we tightened the car up a little bit. Felt pretty good in the feature on the bottom, and finally the cushion got a little bit quicker, and I just pulled up there and ran as hard as I could there, and hoping nobody could get by me.
He's done run over me 4 or 5 times, and he did it after a race. He didn't let me pass him. I passed him, didn't even get close to him. Well, his whole front end, they tried to run over me after the race. If y'all don't do something, I'm going to do something.
Race fans, welcome back here on Dirt Trackn Tuesday, talking with Alan Saget, Shea Judy behind the camera. I'm Danny Wilson. Thank you all so much for joining us tonight as we got the white flag waving here as we get to the tail end of this amazing history lesson. Alan, this is where you and your mom sat, man. This is pretty amazing to be able to sit here and think about what all you saw as a young man, and just share with the fans some of your highlights of as a fan, before we talk about racing again, as a fan, you know, what are some of your fondest memories as a kid sitting here?
Well, I look forward to every Sunday, you know, coming to the Speedway, and it probably made me behave because my mom and dad sort of held that over my head. If you don't behave, you don't go to the races. And they knew I wanted to, so I kind of walked the line a little bit better for that reason. But, you know, like I said earlier, we would sit here with Denny Bonebreak's mother and his wife, and wife-to-be the first couple years, and later on him and Susie got married, and Johnny Grum's family, his wife and daughters, and Harry Fletcher, his wife and son, who I'm still friends with to this day, friends with all these people. And I used to sit and watch. I thought, you know, I really want to do that when I get old enough. I want to get out there and drive those cars. And I went through a period thinking, boy, those cars are awful fast. Are they real guys out in there, or are they just taking credit for being in those cars? And but it was just a neat deal looking back at some of this. I know I talked to Tom Peck, one of the greatest drivers in the history of the track here, who went on to race in NASCAR. And he sort of went through the same thing. He came here, sat in the stands with his mother. He wanted to drive. He was a Denny Bonebreak fan also. And he got the opportunity to drive soon after and race against Denny and all the other guys. But it was just a neat deal back in those days. I remember a lot of things better of the races I watched when I was a kid of those guys than the races that I was in, races that I won. I know Pete Weaver always kids me that I stole his first win away. And he said I passed him on the last lap on the outside in turns 3 and 4. I honestly don't remember that. And he's tried to refresh my memory and get me to remember, and I just don't. And I remember a couple races I got beat.
Yeah, you remember that.
I remember Gary Stoller passing me on the last lap, but I guess I won for you on the last lap too. But you remember those ones you got beat on.
Your mom, she's still with you today. Obviously your dad has passed on. You do a great job of remembering your father and all the legends from the past. But does your mom ever have the desire to come back to the races?
No, you know, she came at first when I started driving, and she was a little bit concerned. You know, that was her son out there, and I guess she wondered, you know, does he know what he's doing? Is he driving a little bit faster than he knows how? But she come up here for the Conica Jig 100, which was a big Stars Series race at that time. That was the big traveling circuit, and that would have been in 1986. And I ran side by side with Rodney Combs for 40 laps for third place. We ran top and bottom, we swapped. We'd run a few laps that way and we'd try the other way. We couldn't get away from each other. And people in the stands had told her that Rodney Combs was the top driver in the country at that time. And I knew that too, but I figured I'd put my pants on the same way he did. I was trying to beat him. But it made her a little bit nervous. And that was the last race she ever came to.
Interesting.
And she, and we finished well. We didn't have any problem, but she said it made her nervous that I was racing with what she called a big guy like that. And I said, Mom, if you were nervous, think how Rodney Combs' mother must have felt racing with 22-year-old Alan Saggy.
Wow, wow.
She was the one that probably should have been nervous. But my mother always followed what I did. She was always wanting to know how we did at the races. We raced out of town. My wife would call her and give her updates. She'd call her after the heat race and give her an update. Call her, you know, after the feature was over. And so if it wasn't too late. So she kept up with everything, and she watched a lot of the Steve Gigas Dirt Station tapes back in the day. But that would be during the week after the race when she knew everything worked out okay.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, right now, our biggest event that we have is the Lucas Oil Sanction event. Happens usually in the spring. A few years back, we seen a local driver knock off Scott Bloomquist, and the crowd just erupted. I mean, you could feel the ground shake that night. That's the excitement of coming here to the Hagerstown Speedway. You just never know when that could happen, where that moment where somebody on the last lap, you know, passes for the lead, or in your case, somebody comes from the tail of the field like you did years back at the Ernie Salvage Yard 100 to win the race. You know, the the fans that don't come here, they're really missing out on some super exciting stuff, whether it's late model sprint cars, monster trucks, truck pools, whatever it may be. This track has put on some amazing events.
Yeah, it really has, Danny. This place has always been racy. When the big traveling series come in, the real appeal of it would be having the local guys go toe-to-toe with the traveling professionals and give them a fit. I know back in the day, Rodney Franklin won a Have a Tampa race here, and he beat all the traveling professionals. Gary Stoller won a Stars race on the last lap, again, a 100-lap race. And then just recently, Greg Satterley, as you made mention of, passed Scott Bloomquist on the last lap to win a Lucas Oil race. So it's always cool when the outsiders come in. It's glitz and glamour, but it's nice to see the working guys, you know, give them a fit and run with them. I always look forward to racing against those guys. You were climbing a tall mountain, but I always like the challenge of it. And of course, they're tough. They race for a living. Yeah. If they don't run well, they don't eat real well.
That's right.
So they're going to give you a fit, but there's been some really good local drivers here over the years that have been able to beat them at times. I know Tom Peck won the Conica-Jig 100 one year when it was a Stars race. So there's been quite a few locals that have won the big races.
Alan, you know, as we get to the tail end of this segment, talking about the history of the Hagerstown Speedway, what can we tell the fans that have never been to this racetrack or have been away from this racetrack for many years? How can we get them to come back here to the Hagerstown Speedway?
Well, if you haven't been here for a while, you need to come back. It's something that you probably liked and you're probably still going to like. And if you have not been here, some Saturday night, come on out. It's the most reasonably priced entertainment you can find these days. You got food, you got all the amenities. You come here, they run a nice, fast, efficient show, and you're going to see some really, really good dirt track racing. And it's cheaper than going to the movies.
That it is. Race fans, I'm Danny Wilson. Thank you all so much for watching tonight's special segment as we reflect on the Hagerstown Speedway. A little bit more history from you, Alan. Thank you for being with us tonight. I want to thank Shay Judy as well. Race fans, come to the Hagerstown Speedway. Even if you just come one time, you may get hooked on it. It may not be your thing, but it's in your local community, and you owe that to yourself to support a local business. So come on out here to this beautiful half mile and see a great night of racing. Is that fair enough, Alan?
And I want to mention Nathan Durbrow also. I know he did win one of the big Stars races, a local driver who did very well. Also, we just lost Nathan back over the winter. I want to make mention of him too.
Excellent.
And if I've missed anybody else, I'm sorry. There's been so many great drivers that have come through the gates here over the years, local and travelers. We'd be here all night to mention everybody, but they've all been a big part of the show, and you know, it's just a great place.
If you want to see a lot of these highlights, go to dirtstation.com. You can see some amazing races, not only from Hagerstown, but also tracks in the area and beyond. So go to dirtstation.com. Folks,
and I think you mentioned that Dirt Station has videos from clear back in the 30s.
All the way back into the 30s.
Were you announcing back then too?
No. Alan's always got to throw that in there. You know, Alan.
I can run faster scared than he can mad.
That's probably so. I got little legs. Race fans, we appreciate you sticking with us tonight. Don't forget, next Tuesday night we'll be back on the air live. Thank you all so much. Take care and God bless.
Coming down to claim second, Gary Stoller. Finishing third, who's it gonna be? Les Hare, Jim McBee, Tom Myers, across the checker flag. The winner, ladies and gentlemen, of the 5th annual Ronnie McBee Memorial, none other than car number 24, the Ray Vest excavating car, got it from 18th starting position by Nathan Durbrow.
ladies and gentlemen, let him hear from you, Nathan Dubrow. Boy, I'll tell you one thing, the further they stack you back in the pack, the better you like it.
Well, I was kind of determined to win that race.
Well, I know you and Ronnie McBee were the best of friends, Nathan, but you started back in 18th position, and what a field of cars that you had to wade your way through just to get to the front.
Well, you know, I said I was going to go as hard as I could go right from the start, and sometimes I guess that pays off. You know, the first 3 or 4 laps seems like that's the most critical part to get up there, as tough as the guys are here. I guess, it was just my time to win this race. You know, it's probably the hardest race I ever won.
Into the third turn, here they come. Here's the checker flag, the winner, Zero, Wayne Walls, Andrew second, and third.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's give him a nice hand. Winner of tonight's sportsman feature, Wayne Walls Jr. Wayne, you got shut out of victory lane here last week, and you're back here again tonight. And a good night to do it, because they're just piling that candy on top of this car. In fact, that's probably all you're going to get for your win.
Yeah, I seen those Tootsie Rolls. I think that's about the best candy I like. All the candy. I'm a Tootsie Roll eater.
Well, you got yourself another good win. You went up in the air a little bit back there on the other side, but you came out on top, and that's what counts.
Yeah, we got shut out last week, and I told them, I said, they did their homework, now we're going to have to do ours and get this thing a little faster. And it's faster, but I think we're going to have to get a little faster yet.
Who's in the third place? Coming out of the third turn. Here they come to checker the flag. Who this? Who this? Who this? There's the winner, Rodney Franklin. Dewberry takes second. Schuler's third.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's give a nice hand. It's been a while. Rodney Franklin. Well, I'll tell you, Rod, that was a big win. These folks like to see you out front. And I'll tell you one thing, you got this number 15 out front. You told me last week you didn't want to make too many changes to it here in the pits. You wanted to take it home and make those changes. And boy, did you ever make some.
Yeah, we made some changes and the car's a lot better, but it's still got to push. It's getting a lot of traction, but I'm having to break a car loose to get it through the corner, so we got to go back and try something else where I can just drive it through the corner. But I understand I was hanging on. They were all over me, but I think I had the fast groove.
We remember an area and national sprint car legend as we mourn with the passing of Hall of Fame driver Steve Smith Sr. Steve was born on February 13th, 1947 in Hialeah, Florida. In the early 1960s, Steve and his good friend Richard Lupo would become crew members for a young hot shoe driver named Bobby Allen at Hialeah Speedway. When Allen moved to Pennsylvania, Smith would follow shortly with what would become the Hanover Gang. He would start his driving career in a car belonging to Allen. Smith got his first sprint win at Susquehanna in 1969. In 1970, Steve would get behind the wheel of the O.J. Myers Black 19, and the rest, they say, is history. Steve finished his career with 259 wins, 150 coming at Lincoln Speedway, 32 at Williams Grove Speedway, 28 at Susquehanna Speedway, and 14 at Hagerstown Speedway, along with wins at most area speedways and nationally as well. Smith would rack up 10 track championships, which 9 were at Lincoln Speedway and 1 of them at Williams Grove. He was inducted into the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame in the year 2000. Here's a few video highlights of Steve's great racing career, courtesy of DirtStation.com.
Second lap time for Steve Smith, 13.529. Let's have a hand for him, a new Lincoln Speedway track record for Steve Smith. Lincoln's all-time winningest driver, pounding your leader. And Smith
Yeah, I wasn't in no big hurry. 40 laps, I didn't even know they ran 40 laps really, but I thought they ran 30s or 35, but I knew it was a pretty long race, so wasn't no use getting crashed here or two ran me right in the beginning.
Hi race fans, we're here at Hagerstown Speedway for round number 4 of Pennsylvania Sprint Speed Week.
The pace car going to make the left-hand turn back into the pit area. We are about ready to go green here at the Hagerstown Speedway. Hodnett. Who's going home with $5,000 tonight? We're getting ready to find out. Chief starter Brad Freeze looks him over. Green flag waving. Car number 27, Hodnett takes the lead. Dietrich second. Here comes Danny Dietrich. What a run off turn number 2. Hodnett, Dietrich. 1-2. Oh, we got trouble in the backstretch. Hard into the inside retaining wall. He'll be able to repair that race car, get ready for Lincoln tomorrow night. Greg Hodnett and Danny Dietrich on the front row. Hey, good start that time for Dietrich. Oh, we got trouble! Major trouble, major trouble. Major trouble here on lap number 1. Red flag, major trouble, race fans. Car number 93, Glendon Forsythe, and that looked like Freddie Raymer. Major trouble, race fans. Wow. Race fans, that is car number 93, Glendon Forsythe. He is out of the car. Let's give him a big hand. What a wild, wild ride. And young Freddie Raymer flipped into the pit area. Wow. A scary, scary accident here on lap number 1. Race fans, race fans, the best news, Glendon Forsythe and Freddie Raymer both are out of the car. They have walked. That is the best news. We need to push trucks to the speedway. Push trucks to the speedway. All cars are going to turn 4. And the cars did their job. They held up, and both drivers were able to walk away under their own power. Chief starter Brad Freeze looks him over. Green flag in hand. Side by side as they exit the corner. Hodnett takes the lead. Smith going to try to take second from Dietrich. No way. Greg Hodnett, you're Danny Dietrich second. Little Smith third. Keep an eye on car number 51. Honda, Dietrich, Smith. 1, 2, 3 as they exit the corner. Race fans, look at the battle beginning to shape up for the lead. Somebody got some smoke. It looks like the Aeronaut race car starting to blow smoke. Something gone wrong on the Aeronaut race car. Your leader continues to be car number 27, Greg Hodnett. Hodnett, Dietrich. Car number 11C, Corey Haas now blowing some smoke. Race fans, keep your eye on car number 25. Aaron Ott started 18th. He has worked his way to 8th. Here in his sprint car, A main. Greg Hodnett, your leader. Danny Dietrich second. Little Smith third. Dietrich and Smith trying to keep Hodnett within seeing distance of the lead. Hodnett about ready to enter lap traffic. Going to be 9 down, 21 to go this time by. Lap traffic is going to be a factor here tonight at Hagerstown. Hodnett, Dietrich, Smith. 1, 2, 3 as they exit the corner. Dietrich is pulled right up on the rear deck of Hodnett. Greg Hodnett, your leader. Dietrich second. Little Smith third. Hodnett trying to put a lap on car number 99. Brady Bacon. Dietrich with a run for the lead on the backstretch. We got a new leader. Car number 48, Danny Dietrich takes the lead. Hodnett wants it back. Here comes Stevie Smith Jr. Dietrich, Hodnett, Smith. Hodnett wants the lead back. He's got it back on the outside. Wow. Side by side for the lead. Greg Hodnett, Danny Dietrich. Still side by side for the lead. What a race at Hagerstown. Greg Hodnett, Danny Dietrich, Snow Smith putting on a show at Hagerstown. They're side by side for the lead. Still side by side, race fans. It doesn't get any better than this. We are halfway home. 15 down, 15. Wow, what a move by Dietrich. 15 down, 15 to go. Greg Hodnett, Danny Dietrich, Stevie Smith Jr. You're getting your money's worth here tonight at Hagerstown. Gonna be 20 down, 10 to go this time by. Greg Hodnett starting to put a little bit of distance between himself and Danny Dietrich. Greg Hodnett, Danny Dietrich, Stevie Smith, Corey Haas, Lucas Wolf has now moved into fifth. Hodnett had put a little bit of distance, but don't look now. Here comes Dietrich. Dietrich's reeled him back in. That is battle for the lead between Greg Hodnett and Danny Dietrich. Oh, we got one slowing. Woo! Race fans, catch your breath here at the Hagerstown Speedway. That's as good as it gets. Greg Hodnett trying to go back-to-back. He won last year's version of the Pennsylvania Speed Weeks. Green flag waving, here comes Dietrich. Here comes Stevie Smith. Stevie Smith trying to take second away from Dietrich. Let it run by Lou Smith. Hodnett, your leader. Stevie Smith the second. Does he got anything for Hodnett? Here comes Stevie Smith. Stevie Smith through the lead. What a move by Smith. Are you kidding me? Wow. Stevie Smith Jr. shot out of a cannon. 25 down, 5 to go. Stevie Smith Jr. from third to first on that last restart. Smith trying to open up a little bit of distance between himself and Hodnett. Smith, Hodnett, Dietrich, Wolf, Corey Haas, your top five. Haas trying to take fifth away from Haas. Gonna be 27 down, 3 to go this time by. Stevie Smith Jr. An unbelievable restart. He's gone, race fans. 28 down, 2 to go for Stevie Smith.
Congratulations, man. Listen, 23 down, 7 to go. We had a caution. You were set in third. What happened?
Well, Moon told me the car was perfect, so I thought, you know what, you better get your ass in gear. And that basically, we got some clean air and got by Danny and got another gasp of clean air. And I think once we could get out in all clean air, it was pretty much over. But, you know, we just had a really good race car. These guys done a good job. We worked on this thing all night. And it's a great feeling to be out here at Hagerstown and Victory Lane.
Well, I tell you what, man, some kind of awesome move with 7 to go to get around Dietrich and Hodnett. Did you honestly think you could do it?
Well, I always do. That's my problem, but I never give up. It's just, I just got a good break there. Like I said, it's hard to explain. I got some clean air on the top wing, and the car just is set down better. And then I got a run on Honda going in. I thought, you know what, I think we can win this thing.
Well, I tell you what, man, you won Friday night at the Grove, took home the victory at Path Valley. Now here tonight at Hagerstown, you've padded the points lead. What's the outlook for the rest of the week? Can you hang on and win this thing?
Well, that's our goal, and we're sure going to try our best. But, I've been in this racing business for a long time, and anything can happen. But we're just going to enjoy each night as it comes and do the very best we can. We'll see where we end up at the end.
Well, I tell you what, Stevie, I know you want to thank Fred, and how about some other guys that helped you get here to Victory Lane here tonight at Hagerstown?
Well, there's a whole lot of them. Of course, Fred and Freddie and Moon and the crew. And, we've got Miller Brothers Chevrolet, Aaron Trading, Donod Engines, Specialty Rig. This car is full of stuff, and we've got a lot of people, a lot of good people that help us. And Fred's earned those people, and he's always good to them, and that's why he's had him all these years, and that's why we've got a really good race car.
Stevie, it's been one of the best sprint races we've ever seen here at Hagerstown, and you are the 2015 winner of the Pennsylvania Speed Weeks. Congratulations.
Okay, thank you.
Stevie Smith Jr., race fans in Victory Lane. How you feeling, man?
Well, bittersweet. I mean, I wish my boy would have got a chance to race, and eventually they're going to be standing up here. Stevie's helping them, and by far the best driver in Pennsylvania is standing right there side of my car.
Well, I tell you what, Fred, he put on his show tonight. 23 down, 7 to go. That caution comes out. He's set in third. What was you thinking standing on top of the trailer?
I was thinking the car didn't look that good, and he drove the hell out of it.
Well, I tell you what, you got a fine driver in the seat. He's got 3 wins already. What are you thinking about the rest of the series?
Just go one day at a time, and hopefully we had to change motors, fuel tanks, fuel pumps tonight on his car, and we didn't even know if it would start for the feature. But, man, I'll tell you, Donot always builds. That was a brand-new motor we put in. I didn't want to put that one in, but we had to, and can't take a chance. But it's night to night, and while I got a chance, I want to thank everybody for coming out to Path Valley and supporting my race, and we all had a good time, and it's going to be bigger next year, I'll tell you that. But I'll tell you what, it's all about my boys and the sponsors on this team, but I'll tell you the smartest thing I ever did was hiring Stevie, because he's mentoring my kids and telling and keeping us up on what's going on with the cars. So, we'll go night to night. We go tomorrow at Lincoln and see what we can do, but racing's tough. We'll just keep at it.
Fred, congratulations. Thank you for your contributions to the area of sprint car racing. An awesome night being here in Victory Lane.
I'll tell you what, that was a hell of a good race. Greg and Dietrich put on a great race, and Stevie just got lucky there on the restart and got the car going. And I'm telling you, the Triple X cars are as good as any, as safe as any, and just work unbelievable. And Donot engines forever. The VRP shocks, nothing could be better than this car right here.
Fred, I'm going to let you get over there and get in the pictures. Congratulations, Fred Raymer, car owner in Victory Lane.